Hello. Welcome back to the Right Royal Jam. How is
Hel-
everybody?
Hello, how are you, Victoria?
Hello. I'm good. How are you, Cassie?
I'm all right. I'm good.
Thanks for joining me today. There's been a lot in the news recently about Meghan and Harry. It's like a constant tidal wave of unnerving, suspicious activity. How have you been anyway today? How's your day been? All right?
I'm just tired, the Wednesday's kind of dragging and just ready.
I know, right? It's dark. Is it a dark where you are at the minute? I suppose you've probably got a bit more sunlight there than we have.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
sunny. It's pretty sunny in general.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's not here. It's just cold. And it just gets dark at 4 o'clock, 4 p.m.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I
Yeah.
think of
Get
like
the violin
England in
out.
general, I kind of think
Yeah.
of Ohio weather, like just gray and kind of wet all the time.
It can be. I mean, we only have a short summer, but
Mhm.
this I just find I like the cold, but I don't like it when the sun is gone and then we're just kind
Yeah.
of left in the dark. And I don't like going out at night time either.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's yeah, it's cold and dreary, but hey ho. Anyway, enough about the weather. I'm always complaining about the bloody weather. So this is crazy. Now, so much has come out the last week. I'm getting more and more information. I think most people are fully aware of the saga with the Archwell Foundation. I mean, do you have any kind of knowledge on that at all? Do you
The
know much
found
about their foundation?
I was reading a little bit about it today, but I'm still learning about that. I'm still looking
Yeah.
into it. Yeah.
Okay. So they actually, funnily enough, we were talking about this the other day, and this has kind
Uh-huh.
of popped up, which is quite interesting. So they've donated some money to certain Biden, which is bizarre to say the least. They give almost £200,000 to Biden's daughter to fund a wellness centre. Okay. So, and this is the strangest
Yeah.
thing because Paul and I were speaking about this the other day about their percentages and how much they're giving away and how
Right.
much profit they're making. And I think we spoke about the 5% that they actually give to charity, and then they kind of withhold the rest of the funds. And
Bare
we've always,
minimum.
we're always keeping an eye on the Archwell Foundation because it is one of their main sources of income, and they're not particularly organised with their tax returns. They don't seem to be very transparent about this particular this charity, their foundation. They're not there. It's all very kind of cloak and dagger. So everybody's got their beady eye on it, and we obviously have noticed that they picked up on the fact that they funded Joe Biden's daughter for a women's wellness centre now. I mean, what
You
do you think about that?
Well, that specifically gives me the ick, but if you look at charities overall, they are a great breeding ground, and I am not, please understand, I'm not saying this as a blanket statement about charities, but they are the perfect breeding ground and hiding place for predatory people because you have an environment where you're claiming this like morality by proximity, and nobody ever stops to think, why do we need the charity in the first place? Like zoom back a little bit because often they're established in a way that they're not actually addressing problems. They're just kind of there for tax write-offs and social clout. But you see, these charities existing for desperate populations. And so people align themselves with them and the monetary things aren't looked at as strictly as, for-profit organizations and things. It's the perfect place to hide a whole lot.
It is, and being, I mean, we've kind of all cottoned on to this charity kind of loophole that a lot of rich people have, and
Mhm.
giving away money also helps with tax, and there's all sorts of loopholes with
Yeah.
owning a charity, which is wonderful. If you are, not siphoning off
Right.
a lot of profit for yourself, I think there should be kind
Right.
of a whether you're profiteering to the point of living a luxury lifestyle, or you're just
Exactly.
having a wage. It's two different kind of types of charities out there. But the Biden, this is where I sit really uneasy with this. Why are they giving money to Biden's daughter? They don't need that money. Let's put that very
Yeah.
clear. It's all very in-house. It seems very cliquey.
Mm-hmm.
It also seems like they're doing it to rise amongst the masses, amongst the powerful. I just doesn't sit right with me. I mean,
And
what do you think? Do you think this is okay? Do you think this is morally okay?
I think that it seems very, very strange, and I also think that the donation cause, the wellness center, like, how obscure, how, non-specific, there's a lot of room to hide that. I don't know what it could be about, but it definitely feels very strange. It definitely feels very strange.
Mm,
And it's just
mm.
such an obscure thing to donate to, just a wellness center.
This is the thing. So they'd only just kind of been campaigning for online bullying. It's like they don't stick at any project. They just bounce from one thing to another, and what they want to attach themselves to. They attach themselves to the online bullying, which I find bizarre anyway. We've gone over this before in videos. They attach themselves to the Colombian plight. They've attached themselves to Nigeria, which is as humanitarians.
Mhm.
Uh, the human what is laughable and quite a juxtaposition to that is they go there in their £1,000 couture. They're living, she's got dress on that's worth thousands, jewelry that's worth thousands, and you're going there to help poverty stricken people, donating weird things like basketball courts and drums and things, just very random, weird.
They're not on the pulse of the people that they're allegedly helping. They're not paying attention, or it's obvious they're missing that mark of actually
Yeah.
helping. That's that's very bizarre. You see that a lot on, like, interpersonal levels of sort of narcissism, and I would consider some of this maybe perhaps communal narcissism, where you do it for show. You see that detachment. You see that they just keep missing the mark when they're doing things, because they don't give from a place of actually wanting to give. They give from a place of, how can I make myself look better? So I'm going to do what I want.
Yeah, no, and I think you're right. It comes to the point where they're now just throwing money at things that could
Mhm.
stick. And it's a typical kind of Gemini behavior. And I shouldn't bring in horoscopes into this, and I'm not even sure what their star signs are. But it feels like they start something, get bored, and move on to something else. But what's conflicting to me is the giving away of money to Biden's daughter,
Yeah.
and then they also had a donation for 5 million. I think it's $5 million, equivalent maybe of about 4 million.
Hmm.
Just bear with me, sorry, 2 seconds. My son's looking for his pajamas. 2 seconds.
We're miming.
There we go. We can't make it up. So they're next door. Okay. So they had a donation as well, a mystery donation from an unnamed donor. So the latest return reveals a mystery donor is given $5 million, and documents published today show that the unnamed benefactor gave Archwell the cash back in 2023. But they've been late giving their tax returns back. It's been about 6 months, and they got an extension on it. And they claim that they're a non-profit organisation, which now we kind of know that that's not the case. To show up and do good is their kind of mission, and it's kind of like their ethos on their website. And they're all talking about the community. There's a lot of community references on their website. But then there's also a source telling me that Meghan is not at all involved in her own community in Montecito. In fact, she completely shuns it and doesn't have any part to play within where she actually lives. So everything's very contradictory. I'm just kind of going through the kind of the description of what their actual Archwell Foundation stands for. I mean, none of it really matches their actions, I've got to say.
And something that I think about, there's a lot of discussion around Meghan. Is she like a narcissist, or does she have narcissistic tendencies? And you see, I've noticed at least a behavior is, and this can be neurodivergent too, so this isn't a blanket statement, but they jump from trend to trend because they want instant gratification from something, because that's kind of, the whole thing. And so the word community right now is very much trending. And I wonder if that is part of why that is included so much. And also, you said that they're jumping from one thing to the next. I noticed in everything that you were describing, it was all aligned with some sort of label of morality. So they're jumping from these projects. It's almost like people aren't seeing that they're good enough from this one, so they go to a different one. And,
yes. No, 100%. Oh, sorry.
You're good.
So did you hear that? It's just so the whole computer went. So something playing in the background. Yeah, no, and this is the thing. I mean, I appreciate a good stab at something and trying something out, but they are kind of aligning themselves with many different random charities. And this is just the weird one with the Biden. I can't really work out why they've done that. And if they've thought before they did it, does this really look good? Because to be fair, it for me, it looks like they're trying to buy their way into power and buy their way into opportunity. It doesn't seem like a selfless act.
Sure.
And it's, Biden will still remain somebody that has a significant amount of power, even not being president. And they, we know that they still get looked after and they still have connections. So this is going to really just reveal kind of their intentions rather than their generosity. I mean, what do you think?
What do I think their intentions are?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I almost feel like it's a little more than buying close proximity to the Bidens or buying into that. I almost feel like, personally, just that there might be some kind of like hidden business venue sort of thing there too. Again, it's the whole like wellness center thing. It feels really general. It feels really like, why? Why is she, like, why? I don't know. I can't come up with anything.
And I think it's their only sort of main significant donation anyway. And with the unknown source that gave them money as well, that's kind of got a bit of a red flag over it. I don't understand why that isn't transparent. So the report shows that the expenditure on costs such as salaries and travel totaled to $2 million, with James Holt, which was a co-executive director at the time. And he was paid a salary of about $250,000, and some nearly 20,000 in benefits. So there's all these different expenses is kind of broken down, which is good. But I think we kind of should know and get some clarity on who the unknown donor was for the 5 million, and why did she choose a wellness center for Biden's daughter?
Right.
Out of everything you can put your hat to, why specifically Ashley Biden?
I feel like we're seeing just the tip of the iceberg. We're not seeing very much at all. At
Mm,
all. I don't think.
mm, mm. So the Archwell co-executive director says, in a world that often feels fractured, there are moments that cut through the noise, reminding us of our strength when we stand together, resilience, courage, and a commitment to something greater than ourselves. I just feel like they just give a lot of lip service without any substance behind it. And, I do think that they're just bouncing from one pillar to post, and not really it's all very chaotic.
The words, the lip service, I've noticed that people who are trying to manipulate or assert some kind of dominance through emotion or emotional adjacent things, they use a lot of words. I mean, if you even think about legal language, like there's a lot of words in that because it takes you off guard. And so you apply that to a more emotional, social setting. Yeah,
Mm, mm,
lots of pretty
mm,
words. Mhm.
mm. Lots of pretty words, lots of haphazard actions. I'm just I was very shocked with the donation, because something doesn't stand right with me with when donating to anything to do with politics, because I
Yeah.
think you are then trying to entangle yourself in something to better yourself. I don't believe that was that there's a different intention behind that, and what that is,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm not entirely sure, but it doesn't feel great. I feel quite uneasy about that.
Yeah.
And I'm not really sure why, but I think just politics and royalty, and I know they're not royal, but it's
It's our equivalent.
it's a very that you're not meant you there's certain boundaries here when it comes to things like this. The Queen, she had she did have her foot in the door with politics, but it wasn't she couldn't be seen to have a favor or do favors, and she couldn't be seen to somehow change the narrative of the country. She had to be kind of mutual. What's the word I'm
Mhm.
looking for? You know what I mean. She had to. She couldn't be polarized. She couldn't change up her opinion or have her hand in anything untoward. And this just feels like that right
Mhm.
now.
Mhm.
And I mean, they're stating here that she's a lot of this work is flopping out anyway. So she's saying that they've had so many subs. Sorry, I have to say 2 seconds. Uh, yeah, so there's lots of feedback saying that they're presenting themselves as people who want to save the world, but the results just don't match their promises. And this is kind of concurrent. I mean, this just goes on and on and on. Really, this
Mhm.
is just what this is. This is kind of the story that keeps unraveling. Every time we pick up a paper or watch something on YouTube, there's something new thrown in the mix.
I mean, this is your stereotypical if you were to look up the definition of communal narcissism, like, that is exactly what that term refers to, is this idea of, like, you are showing people think of it as a childhood wound, right? You didn't get enough attention or the right attention, you were neglected, whatever, as a child, and so you're like, "Look at this thing that I did. I was good. I was good." And so you find them, like, leeching on to actual good causes, aligning themselves with morality. It's not their morality. They're just wearing the
No.
label.
Yeah, it's very hard to be relatable when you're living in a completely different lifestyle. Honesty and truth, I didn't mean to offend you. There's nothing wrong with being a Gemini. I just know a few Geminis that change their mind a lot. And so this is
Yeah.
why that's all I could kind of relate it to at the time. It's
I'm a
not a bad
Taurus.
thing. It's
I'm a
not a bad
Taurus and
thing.
I love Geminis even as a Taurus. So, like, but it is that, like, air sign that
Well, my son's
Mhm,
a Gemini, and I've got a lot of friends that are Gemini, and yeah, they do change their mind quite frequently, and that's
mhm.
all I can say. But that's fine. I'm not insulting anybody. But yeah, in other news, they are releasing. Well, they've released it. Well, we know this anyway. They've released the preview for the Polo, which
Uh,
I just wonder how many people are gonna
who can
what. Yeah,
Who
go
can
on.
relate to that? And especially in America, I don't know if their target demographic was, European countries or if it was America. I'm assuming America since they're here. Like no one can relate to being it's a very, very small population that they're going to appeal to. I was actually watching some of the clips from it earlier today. And I was like, wow, this is the most detached. You can see that they're trying to like exert this classist feel, this like, but oh, it's so complicated, so many layers.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, I just think it's such a niche thing. I know they play polo in England and in Argentina and a few places, but I mean, it's not something that everybody goes, "Oh yeah, I went to polo this weekend." It's
Right.
just, it's kind of for a certain demographic, and
Mhm.
it is very niche. And I mean, I
Mhm.
wouldn't even know half the rules to polo because I'm not interested in it. I don't think most people are. But that's just my opinion,
Yeah.
anyway.
Unless, you relate to it because you've experienced it in your life and that there's nothing, not saying anything bad whatsoever. It's just not a very relatable topic if you're trying to get something off the ground.
No, it's not. And then this is the thing, you have to kind of know what works and what doesn't. And I just think again, they've gone into something without really thinking about it. And
I
yeah, go on, sorry.
I think that there might be more thought than we're initially thinking. I think I see a lot of ego in that. That's what I meant by the classist sort of front, because it's almost like when you get people who are that full of themselves and stuck on themselves, it's like they want to seem humble, but they can't help it. They can't help themselves. They have to like show their clout somehow. And it feels like this is a topic that does show, that someone has money. You're not playing polo if you're poor. Um,
Do you think he's doing it more so because he wants to hang on to that royal thread that he has? And we all know royalty love polos. So is he just trying to show he's still got that aura and that regalness about him? Do you think that might be why he's doing it?
I think that he is doing it to appease her, if the dynamics are as they seem
Mm,
from the outside. I know that there were lots of things that I was not interested in or that morally didn't align to me when I was in an abusive marriage,
mm.
because you sacrifice yourself, you don't even know it. And so my perception from the outside is that she is using that thread of polo and royalty to she wants to appear humble, but she's like, look, 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 we have this money and this tie. And he's probably just like, yeah, going along with it. He probably thinks it's his idea.
Yes, and this is something else that everybody speaks about. He is a victim of his own stupidity. Really, I just think if you're an easily led person, I feel like maybe he's just kind of saying yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. And I do wonder if she's if she's completely brainwashed him or not. I mean, I know that they're now divorced professionally, not yet in real life, but I do feel like that might be on the cards. But they're both doing their separate ventures now
Mhm.
professionally, and that's quite significant because they were meant to come up as a power couple, and
Mhm.
it now it feels like that they're on different kind of wavelengths. Do you think that shows a crack in their relationship?
I think that there are a lot of things showing cracks in their relationship. I think that that is probably one of them because it does seem like she aligned herself. I mean, I remember when they started dating, everyone was talking about her like she had all of this acting experience. And I just remember thinking, I've never really heard of her. And then I saw this clip from her as a teenager doing so I don't even remember what the commercial was. So, like, she obviously had just enough clout, just enough, perception, being perceived to kind of latch on to this. Um, yeah, I think that there's a lot that's showing us, a lot of Harry's body language is showing us that, I actually spent a lot of time watching the body language of both of them,
Well
thinking
done,
about the
you.
Thank
Good
you.
research. And what do you think of Harry?
Well, there are a lot of signs of like
Mm,
cortisol and that sort of stress hormone. Like I
yeah,
noticed he grinds his jaw a lot. I
yeah.
also noticed the way that he talks about things. Like There were a lot of examples. I'm going off topic. Sorry. I hope this is okay.
No, go for it.
There were a lot of examples online where Harry would be like, yes, I did this. I left Meghan standing in the kitchen crying or by herself or something. And you see him take a lot of public accountability for these little things, or maybe they're big things. I don't know, but a lot of public accountability. And when I see someone doing that, I always try to look at the other person too. What are they taking accountability for? And I don't see her taking accountability for any of the issues. When it is completely unbalanced like that, and someone is willing to be like, hey, I'm transparent, this is what I did, they're probably being coerced into at least some of that accountability. Like there's a specific way that they make it, you think that it's your idea, you know?
Very interesting. Yes, and I've seen that kind of psychology before with and it's been used on me. And you when you're quite naive to that behavior, you do kind of pattern that, and then you kind of work it out later on. So that's very interesting. Actually, I hadn't looked at it from that perspective. Okay, I mean, I think with his body language, he does look pretty miserable. I mean, I just don't think he looks happy at all. But there could be other factors to that. You know, we can't all blame it on the relationship. There could be a lot of stress around money, that everything is not going the way that they would like it to go. There could also be stress around the fact that his dad's, you know, is ill or was ill. He's getting better now. And also with Princess Catherine, you don't know, you know, I know that they've all had their all their issues, but it's still at the end of the day, the root is there that they are family. So is that affecting him? I don't know. You don't really know how deep it goes for Harry. Nikki said, I know a bit about polo. You need 4 trained horses, but generally 6 horses per person. Oh, look at you, Nikki. You know about polo. Well done. No idea. Never followed it. I'm not really a sports fan anyway. So I couldn't tell you anything about football, even though my son loves it. I'm just not interested.
American football or soccer?
Oh, soccer.
Okay. I'm glad I asked.
And I don't know anything about American football.
Me either. I don't do the sports ball.
I did watch the documentary of the guy that killed his friend or his brother-in-law, who was a footballer. I've forgotten his name. And it was quite good. Yeah, so he was a footballer and he killed his brother-in-law, I think. And that all went to trial. I love a true crime documentary. And yeah, I mean, listen, I do think there's a noticeable shift in their dynamic. We've been saying this for a long time now, though, and this is kind of repeated news. So we know we just have to wait and see. But it's very, very telling that they're doing different ventures. I mean, I think one was in New York the other day. I think Harry was in New York, and she was at that Tyler's charity function. So they both got different interests, and they both got different ideas of how to grow their own profile or to grow their own business. And maybe they're just thinking, right, well, we both don't agree, so let's do it separately. And yeah, it's very interesting to see how it's all going to turn out, and I can't wait to watch this Netflix polo thing. I just want to see what it's all about. And in other news, oh my good God, so this is funny. This has made me laugh. So do you remember, I don't know if you're aware of Victoria Beckham at all, and their kind of feud that they had many a moon ago? Because they haven't been invited again this year, which is no surprise to Sandra and because for Christmas they've not been invited. I don't think sources tell me that even Dad's now returned. Dad, he's like my dad. King Charles is my daddy. King Charles is not returning any of Harry's calls. He says he's always busy. So the rift is kind of, and now there's kind of no communication whatsoever. And I think Harry is trying to knock at the door to try to have some communication.
Mhm.
And I think with King Charles, he's just really not interested in in building that bridge, and maybe the timing's completely wrong because of the cancer. And I think
Mhm.
you make your soul concentration is getting better, and not having any stress. That's
Sure.
that's that's the way I would perceive the
Mhm.
reasons why he's not communicating with Harry, because I think every time he does, I think there's that back and forth, and it's stressful for an
Absolutely.
elderly gentleman with cancer to deal with that.
And if
um
if it's spiking his cortisol, if there's that level of,
mm,
just disagreement, then cortisol actually prevents healing during the healing process. So, yeah.
mm, mm. Yeah, no, and you're right. So maybe there things might change, but at the moment there's kind of no no kind of reconciliation on the horizon. So anyway, I go back to Victoria Beckham.
Mhm.
So let me get this up. It's very interesting. So I think this is a bit of a snub towards Meghan and Harry, because they had a bit of a falling out.
Mhm.
Um, and I mean, it's all plastered around everywhere that they've gone. Um, so it's gone on the world's poshest dinner, the former Spice Girl, with the world's poshest people. Obviously the royals. Um, and they've gone out for a Gold Forks banquet at Buckingham Palace. Now, that is going to probably rub up Meghan and Harry the wrong way completely, considering they no longer talk to the Beckhams. And initially, they were quite good friends, or acquaintances, we could call them. And this is just going to like really piss them off. I can just imagine
Mm.
them not being
Mhm.
very happy about that. And I do wonder whether the royals have kind of took it upon themselves to carefully select the Beckhams, knowing the history. I wonder if that's quite a quiet dig
Is it an
to Meghan and
intentional?
Harry.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think?
Oh gosh, whenever you it's so difficult looking into somebody else's situation with the family dynamic. But, there's always, if you feel burned or slighted by a family member, there's always that desire to want to be vindicated. And I don't know if you can. I'd like to have some vindication sometimes. So maybe it's a
Yeah.
purposeful slight. I don't know.
I mean, it's very carefully crafted
Mhm.
invites, I would have thought, because they're aware. The royals are very aware of that
Mhm.
back and forth between Meghan and the Beckhams and Harry. So I don't know. I just think that's kind of putting fire on the oh no, putting a match to the what's the saying?
Um, oh,
Lighting a,
now I can't
you
remember.
know what I mean.
It's t it took me off guard. Now all I can think about are the words that you were saying.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
I
Putting a
do.
match to the fire, or fire to the wind, or petrol bomb on the fire. I don't know. It's making the whole situation a little bit more awkward, a little bit more harder to like. Okay, that's a dig. That's a dig without talking to me or doing. You've done
Yeah.
something which you know is going to run me up the wrong way. And the talks that Harry wants to hold with the royal family, she wishes to be present, and that is something that the royals are really not interested in. They would like to talk to their son privately, I think, before bringing her back into the fold, because I think they see her as a thorn
Mhm.
in their side, and somebody that kind of is very controlling. So she's going to try to change that narrative in that conversation, and possibly not get anywhere with the royal family.
And it's interesting because it sounds like she's poisoning herself as instead of someone who's controlling, she's posing herself as someone who's trying to protect him from his evil family. But here's the thing. Here's the point that's a red flag to me. She should, if as someone who cares, she should let him be making his own decision about it. She should be letting him handle it as he wants to. The person who's really like who's trying to exert some sort of control dynamic is typically the one who does not give another person the freedom of choice.
Yeah. Now I know this state dinner was in Qatar, and so it's not necessarily up to the Queen and the king to have them there,
Mm-hmm.
but they have got the option of quietly saying maybe that's not a good idea. So the state dinner was held by Amir of Qatar and the Sheikh of Qatar, and yes, it's not their guest list, and I get that.
Mm-hmm.
However, I do wonder if there was a possibility of changing that. And
Mm.
I know David Beckham was doing that for the football as well. He was there to advertise for the Qatar football. But
Mm-hmm.
there's also a lot of this is shrouded in kind of, again, uh, it's shrouded in kind of a misconception here that this is kind of, oh, this is a really nice kind of dinner and banquet. Yeah, it is, but we're forgetting the humanitarian side of this.
Yeah.
You know, everybody was very up against Qatar and what they do in their country and how they kind of treat certain demographics, and you know that there's a lot to be said about things that are done in that country. Now, we can't tell other people how to live, but this is almost like they condone that behavior by attending these
Mm-hmm.
banquets. And this is something that the Queen also did with the Saudis and things. So it's, yes, it's a lot to do with money and keeping the relationship between the countries.
Mm-hmm.
But is there a point where there should be a stopgap?
Mm-hmm. And
What do you think?
I think there's a whole lot put into that, maintaining a relationship with the countries. I think there's a whole lot of emphasis there on that as sort of a shroud. Excuse me, sorry, I hit my mic. As sort of a shroud to keep people from asking questions. It's sort
Mm,
of that untouchable category that you see a lot of people put behaviors into. So sure, there's some importance in that, but I don't think that that's, the sole purpose.
mm, mm. Yeah, it's difficult because the government here, you know, the opposition before the Conservatives. So we had obviously Labour in power now, and they were very dead against going to Qatar and supporting the football because of the humanitarian side of things. And now they're seen to be, you know, in cahoots with them, and I get it.
Mhm.
But this is a chessboard over the world stage. Everybody
Sure.
has to kind of, they don't have to agree, but
Mhm.
it does feel like that they are kind of uh, going to banquets is maybe a little bit too far,
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
um, because it's, you know, you're having fun, you're enjoying something, but you're really condoning certain behaviors that we would like be shocked and horrified to do
Yeah.
over here.
So maybe have the communication, but don't revel in the things that are being done that aren't that you say you don't align with.
Yeah, exactly. It's a
Mhm.
bit hypocritical, isn't it?
Mhm. Mhm.
And this is similar to the stuff that goes on in a lot of other countries. I'm not just calling out Qatar, but this is just significant because Queen and Camilla have gone there. They're
Mhm.
enjoying a banquet, and it's like it's a, it's like a dictator regime, and
Uh-huh.
we're in a world now where democracy should be thriving, and yet we're still engaging with and doing pleasantries with dictators. So I just find
Mhm.
it a bit uh, and it's
Mhm.
scary, isn't it? And I think they just, is it all done for safety aspect? Maybe, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot more to it, isn't there? But
I
that's
think
just
so.
my
Yeah.
opinion. So the children's story, yeah, I mean, and I agree with you. There's a lot more coming out about the kids, and you know my opinion on this, guys, about the kids. I was always a bit like, oh, can they really be a surrogate? I don't know. This is getting wilder and wilder. The kids haven't been seen in like something 80 days. I don't even know what they really look like. They're almost like a fairy tale story to this point.
Wow. That's
Uh,
bizarre.
yeah, Yeah, and I just wonder, what kind of relationship do they have with their children if they're never around?
Are they giving a reason to why the kids are they saying anything about it or addressing it at all? Acknowledging it?
Right. So their excuse is to keep the kids out of the limelight, which I completely understand for
Sure.
safety measures and things like that, and they want to shun them from publicity.
Mhm.
However, they they don't really they don't really kind of have like a family uh core, like that. It always goes back to your kids are kind of your main priority, and then everything
Mhm.
else is spirals from that. And I just feel like they do a lot of events, they go a lot of places, they go on tours, and the kids could still go along to these tours and be a part of it because they're going to have paid for help,
Mhm.
and the help's obviously looking after them back at home. So why not bring them along? And then you've still got time with your children. They're not missing you. They're quite
Right.
young as well to be disappearing for such a lengthy amount of time. So it doesn't feel like they're that family orientated.
Yeah.
Um, and it's wild to me because Harry kind of grew up knowing that what it was like missing a mum. So for him to kind of do exactly what his parents did, were flying around, going everywhere, here, then everywhere, which is great, and they did a great
Mhm.
job. But I would have thought he would want something a little bit different, and maybe a little less chaotic for his children growing up.
Well, if this is some sort of controlling dynamic, and not that it is an excuse because he still needs to be held accountable if they are, not spending enough time with their children, but if this is some sort of controlling dynamic, I know the things that I would let slide or that I would be convinced to do that I normally wouldn't do. You see that a lot with people in those sorts of controlling dynamics. So maybe he does want better for his kids, but he's not delivering that right now. There's the accountability part.
Yes, yes, and I do think he is very wrapped up in himself because all I hear is whenever he speaks. So he had a conversation. There's a German documentary coming out, The Lost Prince, I think it's called. And he had a conversation with one of his ex-colleagues in the army, I think it was, and he had his limbs blown off. I think he had an arm blown off and a leg blown off. And apparently, this guy had to remove himself from Harry, distance himself as a friend, because all he would ever speak about was his how wronged he was by his own family, and it was that woe is me mentality that he would never stop being stuck in this narrative of, oh, I've had such a hard life, it's been so difficult for me, and it was continuous.
Mhm.
And then this guy was like, I just had enough. I've had enough of his droning on, feeling sorry for himself. So I think what's happening is he's isolating himself from a lot of connections and a lot of people because they just don't want to hear the same story over and over again. I forgot
Mhm.
what we were talking about before I just went into that.
We were it was something about Megan, but, that could also what you were just describing, could also be there when you are in that kind of survival mode, if
Mm.
someone's trying to control you, you do kind of start to choose yourself in conversations, and everything does feel like it's overwhelming, but the problem is you're never paying attention to the thing that's actually causing your stress and your reactions. You're trying to blame it on everything else.
Exactly, because I think you can take you have to learn from a bad situation because you're always going
Mhm.
to be living in a negative mindset. And I know it's not as easy as said than done.
Sure.
However, you can't live in the past forever. You do have to make something of the cards that you've been dealt. And I mean,
Mhm.
it's not like he's been dealt quite a fair hand.
Mhm.
Um, so make use of it. Do something good with it. We all have family problems.
Mhm.
Everybody does. And there's not a perfect family out there, but it's what are they that bad? Are they are
Do
they
you
are they really that bad of a people for you to continuously talk about them 24/7 to anyone
Yeah.
that will listen? and you're kind of living, you're depressing yourself every day. You wake up and go, oh, my family this, my family that. It's like, come on, you're a
You know,
grown-ass man.
I've put a lot of thought into this from a behavioral perspective, actually. And so I don't know if the family was good or not. There's obviously privilege there. And I can tell you for sure that money makes things a lot more comfy if it wasn't, if there wasn't a loving dynamic. But here's the thing, because I've thought, well, why did he end up with Meghan if it is a controlling relationship? But here's the thing, and I'm about to say this from a neutral perspective. Okay. I'm not like criticizing the structure. I'm not, it's just, this is an observation. So when you are living in any kind of, like, if it's a high control religion, if it's like, the being a royal family where there is a lot of structure, overemphasis of structure breaks the human spirit. I'm so sorry, my cat's on my shoulder. It breaks the human spirit in, like, look at the military. You have to be broken down so you can be built back up in a
Yeah,
certain way. So regardless of what the family was like, all of that excessive structure from being in the royal family essentially like breaks you down to make you more acceptable to being controlled again later. And again, that's just a neutral statement.
you
That's
are
where we
bang
are.
on the mark. You're bang on the mark. Yes, he's
Mhm.
been conditioned all of his life. He's been
Absolutely.
conditioned and brainwashed all of his life. So he
Mhm.
has to have fitted into a mold continuously throughout his life and do exactly what he's been told by the
Mhm.
institution, which I can't even imagine how difficult that is. And I'm not for
Yeah.
1 second taking that away from him.
Mhm.
But on a personal level with his family, that's a different dynamic. There's the institution and what
Mhm.
you have to do as a royal, and then there's your mum and your dad and your brother, and then
Right.
there's that has to be separated. You can hate the institution and despise the way that it treated you and churned you out and made you do things that you didn't want to do, but you do not have to despise your own family. And that was kind of where I don't think he's separating the two.
I
But going back to what you said,
Yeah.
sorry, you're right about
Okay.
the controlling thing, because
Mhm.
that it does make for a very easy and interactable person to come along
Mhm.
and go, right, well, I know that you need structure
Yep.
and you need to be told what to do, and I'm the person to do that. And you're right about Meghan.
Yeah.
That's great. I
And
love
she had
that.
she
I
had
love
just enough social clout that she was able to make that connection. She knew just enough about how things worked. And you see these people basically stealing the sparkle off of others, like feeding, like leeching.
You're completely right. You actually just blown me there, because I hadn't thought of it, and this is why I love having you on, because you've got such a great emotional intelligence, and I love it. So yeah, that is interesting. So the feud continues. I don't know that there is going to be a rollout now. This documentary as well. I don't know. Do you know much about the German documentary, The Lost
Mm-mm.
Prince, that's come out? Um, I mean, apparently this is quite wild. Guys, do you know when it's going to be released in the side chat? Have you got any idea? Or has it already been? I don't think it has. I think there's
I'm
been
not
a
sure.
preview of it. And I know a few of the reporters have got a glimpse of it. So this is going to be, I'm quite surprised that this is come about after everything that's happened. I feel like that maybe they should have taken a different stance.
Mhm.
Um, have you seen any of it in the paper at all?
I haven't read much about it. I've seen like a clip, so I don't really know the perspective that they took or anything like that.
Okay, okay. Let me have a little Google. The Lost Prince. All right. Yeah. So there's 6 big bombshells from it, apparently. Major
Mhm.
blow, another major blow. I mean, it's just not getting the mark. Um, it's just so bizarre. It really is. You wonder who's advising them, and I
Mm.
know they sack a lot of their staff, so it's like a rollout continuously of new staff members with a new objective.
They probably surround themselves with yes people that it's just an echo chamber, which is probably why they get rotated through like that, because they only want to hear things that they're used to hearing, which is, oh,
Yeah.
you're so good. You're so good. That's a great idea. So they're
Yeah.
just yes men.
Well, a new documentary focused on Prince Harry and Meghan might make for a hard watch for the couple. So it's saying that The Lost Prince takes an inside look at the Sussexes' life in California and their search for relevance following their exit from royal life in 2020. And it's not entirely flattering, apparently. So it's already aired in Germany. The program from Germany, award-winning filmmaker called Ulrike, I think Ulrike, contains a number of bombshell moments, including criticism of the couple's carefully orchestrated trips, Meghan's inappropriate tour wardrobes, which we've discussed before. I mean, I never really go that far into what she wears, but yeah, a lot of people don't like her revealing attire. Being blasted for not being an asset by neighbours, and a former friend speaking out against Harry's whinging about his family. So we've just, yeah, I mean, we've just covered all that. He
Oh,
does like to have a whinge. Yeah.
someone says that they saw it.
Um, pardon, someone seen it already?
Yeah,
Oh,
Becky Lee
goodness.
said that she saw it in the comments over there and it was boring.
Oh, it's totally boring. Oh, Becky Lee, that's a shame. That really is. I was looking for some juicy bits. Well, hopefully the polo isn't as boring. But I can
Don't hold
imagine
your
it is
breath.
gonna be really tiresome. And also I think that there was a bit of a disagreement over who was going to be uh the director on it, I think. Or was it no
It
producer?
was
Sorry.
I
Who was
remember Paula
yeah,
last time was talking about how it's a very subtle difference. She said that there's a difference between executive producer and executive produced, and they are executive
yeah.
produced, not producers.
I mean, what is the difference? Maybe I'm being a bit flat here, but we know the difference there. I'm producer. Oh, so they just produced that show. I'm guessing this is my train of thought. They produced that show, but they're not a producer, because a producer would mean they would be producing more than one thing. Is that right?
I'm guessing, and I don't know either. Here's my guess. My guess that it's involved in money. So they probably donated money, but don't have
Oh,
anything to do with the actual making. If I had to guess, or it's more hands off. I don't know. Is Paula in here?
Paula knows everything.
Uh,
She's
we're
the
just guessing.
Oracle of Royal. What is the difference
We're just throwing
between
spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks.
a producer and a and oh, no, nothing coming up here. I don't know. There must be a good
Oh, wait.
reason. There must be a good reason for that. I mean, they do stuff in films as well where you have a lead name,
Mm-hmm.
and they pay in Hollywood. They pay their team pays a lot of money to put your name first on the film.
Of
And
course.
that is very significant within the Hollywood industry, that if you have your name first and you're like the main character of that film, and
Mm-hmm.
it's meant to elevate your status. So I can see that there's going to be these little niggly things within that mean something to them, don't mean anything to us, I don't think. Anyway, I know it doesn't really mean much to anybody
Yeah.
uh, that's out of the loop, as far as I know. Now she
I
was
looked
talking
it
about.
up.
Oh, go on, talk
I
to me.
so the executive producer basically they have more experience.
Uh,
They are more involved. They have more of a say. Executive produce. It's basically what I said about the
oh, so
financial.
sorry. I didn't realize you said executive. I thought it was without the executive. Oh, I
Oh,
know, no, I know executive is higher. That's
no, no, no,
fine.
no, no, no.
No,
They're
I did.
both. It's executive
Ah,
producer versus executive produced.
oh,
One letter.
okay. So say that
There's
again.
So this is what Paula brought up. This was not my original
Okay. Yeah, no,
brainchild,
go for it.
but they are. It is the documentary or whatever. It is executive produced by them. They are not executive producers. So basically, that's kind of what I was talking about earlier. Is it's a financial donation more than it is that they get a say so. I mean, I think they probably do get some say so, but
Yeah.
mhm.
Okay. All right. I
Yeah.
mean, it's quite, yeah. Okay. Okay. So, they're execs. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right.
It was
It's a
an
bit,
interesting differentiation that Paula made.
yeah. And it's just weird that there is even a kind of debate over that. It just shows how finite things are when it comes to um, the legality, the lead up and the end result of anything that people do when
Mhm.
they're collabing. Yes, that's executive producers. Or what does that mean? I think he was led up a different path as well. Sniff, sniff. Oh, yeah. Yes. So I think that is all for today. We've got another Royal Live on Friday. So I don't know if you guys heard or not. We're just gonna do a little panel here. On Friday night, we're gonna have all the girls in on 8 o'clock. And we're just gonna do it's gonna be called Royal Chaos. And we're gonna hold it on this channel for this week, and then it's gonna be passed around from royal YouTuber to royal YouTuber, and yeah, we're gonna do that and just cover everything. There was loads more to cover, but we've run out of time. So hey ho. But yeah, very good. Thank you for all joining us in the side chat tonight, guys. Really appreciate it. I'm going to put all of Cassie's links in the description box. And tomorrow, I'm afraid our lovely tarot reader guy, David, is not going to be able to make it. I'm going to try and get a different tarot reader in. I know a couple, so fingers crossed that will work. It will still be a free event, and come and join. And if you want a deeper reading, then you can go to their links, but I'm not sure yet. So I'll kind of you'll know by tomorrow if that's going up or not. But if not, I will see you guys on Friday. Please like, subscribe, comment. If you like the content, if you want to give me any advice, feedback, I'm welcome to it. But yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Cassie.
Thank you,
And
Victoria.
I'll see you soon. I'll see you
Bye.
next Wednesday. We're going to do our next live next Wednesday, same time, 9 p.m. God bless. See you soon. Take care. Bye bye.